Alright, now we come to my favorite part. We get to actually use the machine. So we've gone through all the basic installation methods. We've gone through the faucet diverter installation method. We've gone through the G2 accessory faucet install. We've gone through an RO faucet install or a whole cover cap install, and we've gone through a possible below the sink installation method. Now, assuming that your ionizer is all plugged in and installed the way this one is, your power cord is plugged into a GFI outlet. Now we can start using and adjusting the ionizer. The main tool we're going to use to make our adjustments today is this pH liquid test kit. When you take the top cap off, you'll notice that there's a ball on the top. You'll want to take a scissors and snip that ball off. Now you can twist it in your fingers and twist it off, but some of that liquid's going to stain your skin if you do it that way. So we'll just snip it off, and we'll put our cap back on and put it to the side for a moment. You'll also notice that the kit came with this vial for testing the liquid, and it also came with a color chart. Now I have to tell you about this color chart. We have about 3 different versions of this color chart, and we have 3 different versions of the liquid that over time we've changed them, we've changed the formula. Currently, no matter how strong the acid water is on our drops, the liquid only turns yellow. So you're not going to see an orange, no matter how strong the acid water is made. This is the flaw in our pH test drops right now. If you really want to see a complete accuracy as to what your water is, then I highly recommend you purchase a digital pH meter. We sell them. We sell the best one on the market. It's made by HM Digital, and I believe it retails as a kit for $125. It comes with everything you need to maintain it and to keep it. For somebody that's really into their water and you're going to make a lot of different types of water, I'd highly recommend that. As far as getting the machine set up, we have our install done with the G2 faucet installation method, and we have our water supply completely open, so there's water pressure going over to the machine. Now you'll notice with the M.A.X that after 1 minute the screen times out, and this is called the sleep mode. So the screen will be black. So whenever you walk up to the machine, any button that you press on the panel is going to wake it up out of its sleep mode. And you'll see the light comes on immediately. Now, the machine will generally come on to the alkaline number 3 setting. This is its default setting. It'll always come on to alkaline 3 unless you hit another button. So let's say, for example, you prefer alkaline 1. You've just started using the water. It's your first 2 weeks. You'll touch the alkaline 1 button. Actually, I just touched acidic 1 by accident. Touch alkaline 1. It'll say alkaline 1 in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and it'll take a second touch of the power button to actually turn the water on. When I hit this power button, you'll hear a voice say, "Turn on," and then the water will start flowing. And you'll notice, as in with all ionizers, the water is flowing from 2 places. Here from the alkaline spout, and here from our acid spout. I'm going to just turn this off for now. It is very normal for water to continue to drain from this spout after the machine has been shut off. It's totally normal. The machine is just back flushing itself. So that does not mean you have a leak, or that does not mean there's a problem. Expect water to continue draining, whether it be an acid tube, just suction cup to your sink, or one of these types of faucets. Expect that water to drain out for a little bit after you turn the machine off. Alright, so in testing the basic pH of the machine, the first thing we want to check to make sure the machine is functioning properly is we want to see the strongest levels of water. So I'm going to turn it on to strong alkaline, and I'm going to turn the power on, and I want to test the water from 2 areas. I want to test it from the alkaline spout, and I want to test it from the acid spout. This is going to show me, first of all, that my machine is performing right out of the box the way it should, even before I've made any adjustments. So let's go ahead and turn the power on. And again, whenever you're testing this water, always let the machine run for a good 20 seconds before you take your sample water, especially if you're changing from setting to setting. So we're on strong alkaline, we're at full water flow, and I have my dial on the side. There's a water flow valve on the right side of the machine. Make sure that's turned all the way to the right so your water flow is all the way open. Now if the machine is working, I should see a dark blue or a purple coming from this. And remember, we're on our strong alkaline setting. I only need to fill this about halfway to 3/4 and put 1 drop in there. And that's all I need. And as you see, we have a purple. Now, if I put a second drop in there, it's not going to change the color. It's just going to make it a little richer and darker. So it's still purple even though I put a second drop in. Now I'm going to dump this and rinse it out of the acid drain. And again, if the machine is working properly, the opposite water should be coming out of the acid drain. So I'm going to put 1 drop in here, and I'm expecting it to turn yellow, which it did. We have a nice yellow. So I'll also point out that the yellow this water has turned doesn't even exist on our color chart. I apologize about that. We are getting a new color chart and new drops made, but as of the filming of this video, this is how it is. So if it turns yellow, it's good and it's what you expect and it's what's supposed to happen. All right, now I'm going to turn it off. Now I'm glad we caught this on video. There's 2 settings on the machine, acid number 2 and strong alkaline, that when they're running, and I'll turn it on again, and you turn the power off, the water is going to continue to run for 5 to 6 more seconds. This is part of our new rad cleaning system. So the machine is not broken, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Now watch this, I hit the power, the light goes off of the power button, yet the water is still running. It should not run for any more than 6 seconds, and then it shuts itself off. That's a great thing. It's keeping all the scale and mineral buildup from happening inside the machine. Now, there's 2 levels that I would have you adjust on the machine right from the start. One is the acidic number 2. And this is how you make adjustments on this machine. You have a mode button here, and then you have a minus button, which also has a speaker symbol next to it. And then you have a plus button, which also has a lock symbol next to it. And then below that, a button that says enter. To get into the back menu, I'm going to touch, and again, this panel doesn't require the pressing of your finger. It just requires a light touch. So there's no reason to press or push on the panel. Just touch and hold the mode for about 5 seconds, and then you'll see the screen change to green. Once the screen changes, it's showing you the setting that it's on. So this is alkaline 4. I don't want to make any adjustments on alkaline 4, so I'm going to hit the plus button, and I'm going to find acid number 2. I want to adjust the power on this because acid number 2 is where we make our strongest acid water without salts. So the strong acid setting is for use with salt. The acid 2 setting is for making the strongest acid water without salt. So we're going to turn the power up on that setting, and the way we do that is we hit the enter button, and you'll see a number show up flashing in the right hand side. Hitting the plus or minus buttons raises or lowers that number, and that's your power setting. So on acid number 2, 50 is as high as you can go. I think when you get it, yours is going to be preset on 35. So I would move that up to 45 to start with, hit the enter button, and the next menu you're going to go to is total dissolved solids. Now total dissolved solids has to do with the amount of minerals and other sediments dissolved that are in the water. For those that have soft water, or you're using a reverse osmosis filter or a nano filter, you're going to want this TDS setting at about 100. So we'll dial this up to 100. For those of you who are in hard water areas and you don't have any special filter to reduce that hardness, you're going to want to be set around 300. Now, just as a rule of thumb, the higher you move this number, the lower the power being sent to the plates. The lower the number, the more power that's being sent to the plates. So let's say, for example, you need your pH level to be higher than what it actually is. You can achieve that by both adjusting the power setting, which was the number in the right-hand side of the screen that's no longer showing, and by lowering the TDS number. If you're getting the right test results, as we'll talk about in a minute, there's no reason to go through and adjust every different setting. The acid 2 is a setting we'll always adjust because you're going to use your strongest acid water at this setting. So we'll keep this at a TDS of 100 and we'll hit enter. It moves on to a language setting, and currently you'll see by pressing plus or minus we only have English and French. In the future we'll have Spanish, but as of today there's only English and French. So we'll hit the minus, leave that at English, hit enter. Next, you'll see the filter counter button. The filter counter starts out at 9,000 liters and it counts its way down. It's very similar to the odometer in your car. So it starts out at 9,000, and when it reaches 0, that's when it's time to change the filter. The way to reset this filter counter is by pressing and holding the plus and minus at the same time. Hold that until the filter counter goes to 0. Unless it says when you're changing your filter, actually it's going to say 0. So when you hit the plus and minus, it'll reset back to 9,000. 9,000 is the starting point. We're not going to reset our filter today, so I'll just hit the plus button and move on from there. Or I'm sorry, I'll hit the enter button. This is the cleaning frequency. You can set up how often the machine self-cleans. Now, for most of you, I wouldn't mess with that number at all. For some of you, you're going to be in a very soft water area, or you'll have a reverse osmosis filter, or you'll have the Chanson nano filter. If that's the case, you can move the cleaning interval up as high as 50 liters. Do not move it any higher than that for any reason. So if you're on normal city water that's considered hard, leave it at 30 liters. If you're on a low mineral water, 40 to 50 liters, but no more than 50. For here we have high mineral water, so I'm going to leave it at 30 and hit enter. Now I'm back to my alkaline 4, and again, if I want to adjust any level on this machine, all I need to do at this point is hit the plus or minus. I'm actually going to also adjust acid number 3, which is my salt function, and you see it says 35. That's the highest power level for this setting, so I'm going to hit enter. Now this is also a good time to mention that, let's say for example you're on alkaline number 3 and you're testing the water, and the water's showing up as a dark purple, which is over a 10 pH, and you don't want to drink water that strong on alkaline 3. Well, you can go to alkaline 3, so it says alkaline 3 up in the corner, hit enter, and take our power number here from 35 and reduce it. I'd reduce it 5 points at a time. So go to 30, press and hold the mode button to get out of the back menu, and test your pH on alkaline 3 and see if the pH numbers have come down to where you need them. And we'll actually do a demonstration of that in just a second. This is it. This is all the back menu adjustments that you'll ever have to need. And the truth is, when you adjust it the first day, if the power goes off or it becomes unplugged, you'll never have to adjust it again. The machine actually saves and holds those settings. So if there's a power outage or you unplug it and move it to another residence, it's going to hold all of those settings that you just took your time to make. So again, to get out of this back menu, we're just going to press and hold the mode button. And it turns purple, or whatever color you have the setting on. You'll notice that the screen colors tend to work closely with our color chart. So when you see orange, yellow, you know you're in the acid zone. When you see green, you know you're in the neutral or just filtered water zone. And when you see the blues and purples, you know you're in your alkaline water zones. You'll also notice that there is a speaker symbol on the front panel, and there's also a speaker symbol in the window. There's 2 bars showing. That's medium volume. If I hit this again, that's full volume. That 3 bars showing on there is going to be too loud for most of you. It's going to be far more loud than you'll find comfortable or enjoyable. Most of you will want to use either 1 bar or 2 bars. 2 bars is where most of you will have it set. But you can also shut the volume completely off by hitting it until you see no bars at all. So that's the volume adjustment for the machine. The second is called a lock adjustment. So let's say, for example, your first 2 weeks you're using alkaline 1 only, and you don't want to accidentally use any other kind of water. All you have to do is press and hold the lock symbol, and you'll see that no other button outside of the power button will work. See that? Nothing is working at all. So once you've hit the lock, you'll see the lock symbol will show up in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, actually the lower left-hand corner of the screen. And again, if you're trying to hit buttons and nothing's working, before calling us, take a look to see if that lock symbol is there. If the lock symbol is there, you have your answer. To unlock the machine, simply touch and hold the lock. The voice will say unlocked, and you'll see the lock symbol just disappear from the screen. And now, as you see, any button I touch works. Alkaline 3 is where you're going to use the machine for the majority of its life. So this is the main water we want to adjust and test for. One thing to realize about water ionizers is they work by the flow, the speed of the flow. So in other words, the faster water is traveling through the machine, the weaker the results will be. The slower the water travels through the machine, the stronger the results will be. So you can actually get stronger water out of this just by slowing the flow and not doing any power adjustments whatsoever. Now when we turn it on here, my flow valve on the right hand side of the machine is completely open. It's wide open at this point. You'll see the flow on the screen says 3.8 liters per minute. Now this is the total flow of the ionizer. This is the flow that's coming out from here and the drain spout. So that's the combination of the 2 flows. And that meter is dead on accurate. We've tested it endlessly. If it says 3.7, 3.8, that's exactly what's coming out of the 2 spouts combined. It's also about the maximum speed that you'll want to see this machine operating on to perform at its best. Now let's see what our pH is coming out at this full speed of 3.7 liters per minute. And again, we'll take about a half a vial and we'll put 1 drop in there. And basically I have a light purple. Now, a light purple on this menu can be anywhere from 9.5 to 10. So I would say this water is just a little bit too strong for drinking. Now I want to show you something. You have 2 choices at this point. You can go into the back menu and drop down the power and the TDS setting, raise it to lower the pH here, because you can't lower it with water flow. Our water flow is at its maximum. Or you can just drop down to a lower setting. So let's see what happens when we switch to alkaline 2. And keep in mind, when you're testing the machine and you're switching from setting to setting, always give it about 10 or 15 seconds before you collect the sample. If not, you're still getting some of the previous water that you were testing. Now you'll see here, when we put a little bit more water, we still have a purple. Now, it's important to note that here in Orange County, California, our water's coming out of the tap alkaline already. So it's already about an 8.5 pH. So it's hard for this machine to make much under an 8.5. Well, now let's go down to alkaline 1 and see where we're at. And again, I'm going to let it run for about 15 seconds. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to have some delicious Chanson water live on film. All right, about a half a vial, 1 drop. And we're still at a purple. So that shows that we need to make some adjustments on the machine. So let's go ahead and shut it off. And the first thing I'm going to adjust is the alkaline 1. Because alkaline 1, now I've held the mode button. You see the screen change and I'm in the back menu, it says alkaline 1. If it didn't say alkaline 1, just hit the plus and minus button until it says alkaline 1. Then hit enter. And our power setting says 6, and I'm going to reduce it as low as it will go. I'm going to reduce it to 2, and then hit enter. And then I'm going to go to our alkaline 3 setting, since I saw that was too strong. And I'm going to adjust that, and I see that was at its maximum power, so I'm going to drop that down. And I'm going to go more than 5 points. I'm going to go 10 points on this one because I saw it was a deep purple. Alright, now I'm going to press the mode button and get out of the back menu. And I will try alkaline 1 a second time.
Electrobath is cleansing.
Now this is something else that you'll see. When the machine goes into cleaning mode, and again you saw that we set it, you can set it for 30 liters, every 40 liters, every 50 liters. Once the machine reaches that point, it's going to go into cleaning mode. Now watch this. When this machine is cleaning, no buttons work whatsoever. The power button doesn't work. You cannot shut the machine off. It's going to clean for approximately 45 seconds. Let it go ahead and go through its cleaning cycle. Again, it's only every 30 to 40 liters that it's going to clean. So you definitely don't ever want to interrupt the cleaning cycle. Once the cleaning cycle is done, the machine will actually shut itself off. A side note is when the machine is cleaning, the reverse waters are coming out. So acid water's coming out here and alkaline water's coming out here. So this is not the time to take a glass of drinking water when it's going through its cleaning cycle. Alright, so let's check out, let's go right to alkaline 3 and see if we've been able to make a difference by adjusting that power level down. I'll put a cup in there to make things a little more quiet. Again, before testing, always let it run 10 to 15 seconds and then get your sample. And so we see that I still have a purple. Now I'm going to test it one more time before getting more water, just to make sure I've let enough run through there, and yes, it's still purple. Now I want to show everybody our tap water here. So you can see that we have about a aqua blue, which again the colors don't always match up just perfectly, but that's about an 8.5. So we're starting pretty close to a 9 or a 9.5 pH. But I hope everyone realizes that the beauty of these water ionizers is not the pH that they create. It's the electrical charge. That's 60 to 70% of the benefits of this water is the negative electrical charge. The pH is what we test to see how strong that electric charge is. So here's a great example. The electric charge happens first in the ionizer. The minerals are then condensed to create a higher pH. So if you're seeing an alteration in the pH of the water, which we obviously are, knowing that our tap water is blue and the water coming out is purple, it's obvious our ionizer is altering the water. But don't worry if you have an ORP meter or you have a way to test the electricity in the water. It's not necessary. As long as you see the pH is being altered, you know for sure you're getting the negative electrical charge. One cannot happen without the other. So I'm going to go back in here one more time, and just for the sake of the video, I'm going to just lower it to its lowest power setting so everyone can see how changing the power setting really does change it. So we're going to go down, let's say we go down to, we'll go down to 15. I held the mode button to get out of the back menu, and now we'll do another test. Again, I need to let this run 10 to 15 seconds to flush out the last sample of water I took before testing another sample. There's probably not much we can do here as far as lowering the power to get much less than a dark blue or a light purple. That's pretty much the lowest. Remember, you can't make a lower pH than what you're starting with on the alkaline side. Alright, so we're still purple, and this is at the point where I would actually need to bring out a digital pH meter. But if this is the case in your home, and you've adjusted alkaline 3 to its lowest setting, if your pH of your starting water is too high, there's only so low you can get the pH on the ionizer. You might need to use lower settings permanently to have lower pH levels. Now personally, I like to drink between an 8.5 and a 9. Some people like to drink 9.5 to 10. It's going to depend on your body what works best for you. Alright, so now you finally see a blue, and this is alkaline 1. So this is definitely where I would have you drinking for the first 2 weeks. Now again, most people around the US won't have this issue because most tap waters around the US are about a 7. Ours is an 8.5 here, so it's coming out of the tap close to a purple. So even though I adjusted the power down, we're still getting purple water on alkaline 3. Now that's what we drink here in the office every day. But for those of you starting out on the water, you're going to want that blue water. That's the best to break your body in to get yourself broken in over time. There really is no other adjustments that you need to get the machine running. Now, when it comes to making the strong acid water, and again, if you have any questions that we didn't cover on the setup video, we have a huge FAQ, which is frequently asked questions section on our website, or you can always call into our technical support and we'll be happy to go over any questions that you have with you. But as far as the alkaline water goes, it's very simple. Alkaline 1 is where you're going to be for the first 2 weeks. You'd like that to test at blue. Alkaline 2 is where you'll be for your 3rd week. That can test at a dark blue to a very light purple. Alkaline 3 is where you're going to drink permanently, and that should test at a very light purple. A dark purple is getting a little bit too strong, but really there's nothing that can cause you danger. What you need to get is the feedback of your own body. So if the pH is generally, after a month of drinking this water, if you find that your mouth is dry all the time, that's an indicator that the pH is too high for your body. That's a point where you can either adjust the power down to have a less strong water, or you can go to a lower setting like alkaline 2 or alkaline 1. The real adjustments that you'll need to make on this machine is not for the alkaline water. That's very simple. It's for the acidic water. You'll notice we have 3 acidic settings. We have acidic 1, acidic 2, and strong acidic. Acidic 2 is the strongest setting for making natural acid water with no salt. And the method is really easy. I'm going to show it to you in a second. For using the salt, you'll see that there's a cap on top of the machine that you twist counterclockwise and lift, and this cap will come up, exposing a basket. The basket lifts out from inside the cap. You'll see there's 2 notches in the basket, and it only goes in the cap one way. This is for mineral powders or salt. We're going to get to the salt in just a second. Most of you, and I mean most of you, will never need to use salts in your M.A.X ionizer. And the reason being is your source water will provide the right ingredients to make a strong acidic water without salt. Now I'll show you what our method is here in the office. We press acidic 2, hit the power button, and we go over to our flow control valve, which is on the right hand side of the machine, chrome valve, and turn it down to where you see the display number reduce to 1.8 liters per minute. Now this is the starting point for making the strongest acid water. If this water is nice and strong, it should test yellow. And you'll see we're getting a yellow here, which is exactly what we'd expect. You also may notice a light chlorine type smell in the water. That's not chlorine. That's called hypochlorous acid. It's non-toxic, it's totally safe, and it's an active component of the acid water. If you're not getting yellow at this flow speed, this is pretty fast for making strong acid water, even though to you it might seem slow. In the ionizer world, this is actually super fast. 1.8 liters, you can dial it down to where it goes all the way down to 1 liter per minute. And I'll tell you, you really don't want it much slower than the 1 liter. So once that screen says 1.0, that's as low as you should go. Never go slower than that. And you see what we have coming out of the spout is about a stream of spaghetti. And again, this is going to test yellow. This is fantastic water for the skin, for antibacterial uses, for cleaning. You can put this in a trigger spray bottle. You can put it in a glass spritzer bottle that we have available, or you can put it in one of the pump Chanson bottles that we use for cleaning and sanitizing. Once you're done filling up your containers or whatever you're going to fill up with that acid water, go ahead and turn the flow back to full and hit the power button. And remember, on acid 2, the water's still going to continue to flow for 6 seconds after you turn that power button off. Then it'll shut off by itself. Now, why would you need to use salt? The salt function is for medical professionals or for anyone that just absolutely has to have the most sterilizing water they can get their hands on. The way to put the salts in the machine is very simple. You have the basket here. Most of you will have a small supply of Himalayan rock salts that come with your ionizer. We prefer Himalayan rock salt because it is a nutritional salt and there is no negative effects of this salt. To make the salt acid water, take no more than 3 chunks of the Himalayan rock salt and drop them into the basket. Now here's a side note. If the rock is just a little too big to go in the basket, never ever force the rock down into the basket. You'll see that there's a mesh membrane all the way around the basket, and if you rip that membrane, it's going to allow the salts to go too fast out of the basket into the water, creating negative results. If the rock will not drop into the basket, get yourself a scissor and just trim it lightly. Trim the salt. and then it will drop very easily into the basket. Again, never force it. Another thing you never want to do, and I mean never, never take regular household granulated salt and fill this basket up. You will void your warranty and you will damage the ionizer. This basket is designed for thick chunk, large granular rock salt. Table salt is not nutritious, it's iodized, it's altered by man. We don't like this salt for nutritional purposes, but its size is too small, it will dissolve too quickly. So within the first 30 seconds, the water has flushed all that salt out. When you put these 3 rocks in the basket, there's more than enough salt in here to make about 2 gallons of acid water. So you'll put the salt in the machine, turn the cap completely clockwise, hit the strong acid button first, and then the power button. Now there's something to know about the strong acid button. If you've hit the strong acid button and you hit the power and you try to change the function, no other button will work. The reason being is, after using the salt function, the machine wants to go through a cleaning cycle. And so you'll have to remove the salt basket and let the machine go through cleaning before you can change the setting. You'll also notice that there's a voice right now saying the water flow is too large. That's because when you're using the strong acid and salt function, it wants to make the water as strong as possible. So you'll want to turn it down to that 1.8 liter per minute mark, and that's generally where you're going to get your best salt water. Now, this water, although in most cases it's going to test yellow, the pH of the water becomes almost irrelevant when you're using it with salts, because it becomes, the hypochlorous acid is produced in such high concentration that that will kill all bacteria regardless of pH level. So when you're making it with the salts, the pH becomes almost non-important. But this water is not good for the skin. This water is too strong for the skin, and in most cases will irritate or even give a burning sensation on the skin. Phenomenal for cleaning, for killing bacteria, for cleaning wood floors, for cleaning tile floors, but not good for the skin. Better to make the natural acid water on acid number 2 for the skin. Now you'll notice when I turn the machine off and switch, let's say, to alkaline 3 and try to hit the power button again, it will not go to alkaline 3, it's going to go to cleaning. Whenever you're done with the salts in this machine, please never forget to remove the salts. It's actually fairly important. You can just remove the basket from the cap, put the cap back on the machine, and store your salt basket in a cabinet for the next time that you're going to use it. Do not leave the salts in the machine. So now I'll hit the power button and you'll see it's going to go into cleaning, and again, when it's cleaning, there's no button on the panel that's going to work. It's going to clean for 45 seconds. It's good to open the flow back up at this point and let the flow fully flush out. Once the cleaning is done, the machine will stop itself and you can go back to using any kind of water that you want. Now there's some of you that have a very low mineral water, or you're using a reverse osmosis, or you're using a Chanson nanofilter. If that's the case, and you know for sure that your mineral content or your water is considered very soft, or your mineral content is very low, then it's okay to put a chunk, one chunk of Himalayan rock salt in the basket and use alkaline number 1 only. This puts rock nutritious salt minerals into the water. They're very nutritious for you, and you can consume them that way. Do not use the salt for alkaline 2, alkaline 3, or strong alkaline. There's too much power being sent to the plates for those settings, and it's not good for the machine. So there's only 2 settings I'm recommending you use salt on: strong acid or alkaline 1. Strong acid is for sanitizing, external use only. Alkaline 1 is for drinking water if you're in low mineral or soft water conditions. We also have a calcium powder that can be added to this basket for those of you who are in low mineral conditions. If you're not sure what's ideal for your water, give our technical support department a call and we'll get you set up with exactly what you need. Again, 80% of people watching this video will never need to add any minerals or salts to their machine at all, because USA water supplies and most water supplies around the world already have salt and a lot of minerals in the source water. Outside of that, the only maintenance to be done on the machine is a once-a-year filter change. The filter is in the left side compartment, and removing the filter is as easy as this. Just tilt the machine up slightly, pop the cover straight up, you'll hear that click, and then it'll just pull right away. The filter tilts out. That's as far as it tilts out. If you try to tilt it out any further, you're just going to break it or cause damage to the machine. You'll grab the cup or the base of the filter with one hand and grab the top and twist with the other hand. You'll see that the filter itself will actually pull completely out of the machine. To remove the filter from the cap, just do a twist, and now the filter is removed from the cap. You'll also notice with our filter that there is a rubber disc covering a hole on the top. Sometimes this rubber disc stays stuck to the inside of the cap, so when you've removed this, you didn't notice that the filter cap got removed, and then people tend to flip the cap over and then it falls on the ground and they forget that it was ever in there. Make sure when you're replacing your filter that this little disc is in place. You insert it up into the cap and give it a twist so it's held in there. This is once a year, or when that filter counter goes from 9,000 to 0. Let's say you're at the 12-month point and you still have 3,000 liters remaining on the filter. I'm sorry to say you need to replace the filter. Filters expire and they have a lifetime that they can spend underwater. Remember, this filter is spending its entire life underwater. So 12 months is the point where the filter can maintain everything it's holding on to and its own integrity, and after the 12 months the filter will start to degrade. So 12 months filters need to be replaced regardless of the mileage on the filter. We also have a citric acid cleaning procedure that I'm not going to go over on this video. We have it printed in very easy to understand language, and that simply consists of you removing the filter, putting the citric acid solution in this cup, closing it up, turning the ionizer on for about 5 seconds to let the citric acid go into the machine, letting it sit for about an hour, and then flushing it out. We like to see that done once a year for people that have average use in average hard water areas. For people that are in super hard water and have very heavy usage of their ionizer, we'd like to see you do it twice a year. For those that have a reverse osmosis, a nanofilter, or you're in a soft water area, you can probably get away with doing that once every 1.5 to 2 years. It's a super easy, fast procedure, and it's a small amount of maintenance compared to the benefits and what you're getting out of the machine. So please don't skip this periodic citric acid flushes and absolutely replacing your filter in a timely manner. Outside of that, there really is no other maintenance or anything to take care of with the machine, with the exception of cleaning. For cleaning the machine, I highly recommend, well, let's put the filter cap on first. there is a little trick to putting this filter cover back on. You'll see that there is an arrow symbol here at the bottom and it's facing upward. So that arrow symbol will go to the bottom. And basically you'll take this filter cover and you'll see that I have about 1 inch of the cover sticking above the top of the unit, and I push it completely in to the unit and then straight down. And that's it. The filter cover is reinstalled. So we'll remove it by pressing up and pulling it away, or we'll press in 1 inch above the filter housing, press it in, and then straight down, and that's a replacement. And as easy as that is, you'll only have to do it once a year. Alright, so cleaning the machine. Do not use abrasive cleaners. Do not use scrubbing type sponges. Do not use anything that's abrasive, because you can eventually put some swirl marks in the plastic. The best way to clean this is to use a microfiber cloth or a very soft paper towel. You can dampen it lightly and just lightly buff the machine. You do not want to have a soaking wet sponge dripping water all over the machine where water could possibly enter somewhere. Damp only, light buffing, remove any standing stains or watermarks, and again, please go out of your way to keep the machine clean. The more hard water that builds up on the panel, the more gook, oily fingerprints that builds up on the machine over time, the harder it's going to be to clean when you finally do clean it, and the more chance you have of damaging any type of finish. And this would go for any plumbing product, not just the water ionizer. Light buff with a damp towel and follow it up with a dry towel, and again, just a light buff is all that's needed. The machine will keep its beautiful luster for many, many years to come. Again, use a microfiber cloth if possible. As far as instructions go, we've talked about the regular drinking water, how to adjust the levels for the drinking water. We've talked about the acid water and using salts and minerals. The only thing we haven't talked about is the strong alkaline water. The strong alkaline water really has very few uses. It is used as a detergent. You can make a pitcher of strong alkaline water and pour it into your washing machine. It will help your clothes get cleaner. You can use it to clean and decrease your stovetop. It can take out oil-based stains out of clothing. But the main use, the best use for strong alkaline water is to put it in a container, soak a washcloth in it, and any joint that you have that has pain or inflammation, it could be hands, it could be an elbow, a knee, take that washcloth from the strong alkaline water and put it on the joint. Within about 30 minutes, you should notice some relief in pain and inflammation in that joint. The strong alkaline water is made by turning the machine on, strong alkaline, power on, and remember, we get our strongest water with our slowest water flow. So we'll turn this down to where we're going to see that 1.8 seems to be around the sweet spot with this machine. And you can do a quick pH test of the water and see that this water should be dark purple instead of that light purple we've been seeing. And see, there you have a dark purple. That's when you know you're getting the really strong alkaline water, and that's the best water for treating your joints. Again, I'll turn it off and you'll notice it's still going to run for 5 to 6 seconds. Also, for those of you that have a Chanson nano filter, we've just come up with a new method of using a holding tank with the nano filter that supplies a much faster flow rate. But for those of you who are just using a nano filter with the ionizer, the nano filter produces water at a very slow flow rate. So remember, the slower the flow, the stronger the water. So most of you that are using a nano will probably never be able to use alkaline 3. It's just going to be too strong. And you'll spend the majority of your drinking time on alkaline 1. That's totally fine. That's the reason that we have multiple settings and levels of adjustment on the machine. You never have to be at any certain setting. Remember, the key component, two key components to this water: negative electrical charge, microclustering molecules. The pH is the lowest benefit of the water. The negative charge, the electrical component, and the microclustering are what's special, and you will get that at any setting on this machine, regardless of the pH level. I want to congratulate you on your purchase. I've seen every machine on the market. Those who know me call me the water ionizer expert. I've seen them all. I've taken them all apart. This is my favorite machine. Out of all the machines I've seen in the world, I got to help build and engineer this thing, design it, and it really is an advancement over every other product that's on the market. It's built by a 30-year-old manufacturer that has a stellar reputation, and there's thousands of hours of testing that have gone into this product to both assure that it's safe and that it not only performs out of the box, but it performs by the second month, the third month, the second year, the third year that you own it, the fifth year that you own it. We design everything for long-term safety and long-term performance. I've seen so many ionizers that perform incredible out of the box, and 2 or 3 months later, they're hardly performing at all anymore, and they won't perform anymore because of cheap components and cheap materials that are used. All ionizers make ionized water. The Chanson M.A.X does it the best. Congratulations, and we look forward to hearing about your great results that you have using both waters, the alkaline and the acid water. Thanks a lot.